God bless America. Hello, everybody. I am the Talk Radio Protege. This is the Protege program, a rant presented by Protege. So, today's video, again, I was busy a lot today, on the road a lot traveling, and I didn't have the time to do the research that I like to do and take the notes that I like to do before most of my videos. So, today's going to be exclusively a rant. I was listening to Ben Shapiro's show over at the Daily Wire today, and he was talking about this Kimberly Strassel piece. And I don't get to read the whole thing because I don't have a subscription to the Wall Street Journal. So I'm going to read you this excerpt, uh, which I think is going to get us a good enough jumping off point. U.S. Attorney Robert Kumazi took a few moments in his Tuesday statement about Michael Cohen's plea deal to sing neutrality's praise. His day of reckoning serves as a reminder that we are a nation of laws, with one set of rules that applies equally to everyone. Noble words, and they used to mean something, but a disparity of justice is at the heart of our current crisis of faith in institutions. Americans are outraged that the Federal Bureau of Investigation felt obliged to investigate alleged allegations leveled at campaigns, or that a special counsel is looking at Russian electoral interference. They are instead furious that Lady Justice seems to have it in for only one side. The country has watched the FBI treat one presidential campaign with kid gloves, the other with informants, warrants, and eavesdropping. They've seen the Justice Department resist all efforts at accountability, even as it fails to hold its own accountable, and don't get them started on the one-sided media. And they are now witnessing unequal treatment in the special counsel Robert Mueller's probe. Yes, the former FBI director deserves credit for smoking out the Russian trolls who interfered in 2016, and one can argue he is obliged to pursue any evidence of criminal acts, even those unrelated to Russia. But what cannot be justified is the one-sided nature of his probe, and that's where the Fox News excerpt runs out. And there's more over at the Wall Street Journal in case you have a subscription or want to buy one and go read the whole piece for yourself. So, what Strassel speaks to in this column is frustration, specifically political frustration, and in my opinion, more specifically, Republican political frustration, because Republicans like to think that we hold ourselves to a higher moral standard than the Democrats do. I say like to think not because I think that that claim is dubious or not accurate. I just say like to think because because everyone likes to think highly of themselves, but Republicans in particular think we hold ourselves to a standard of decency and it's the word that I'm looking for, a standard of decency and morality that the Democrats just don't hold themselves to. And they think the same of us, obviously, because they're Democrats. But anyway, it seems from the point of view of a Republican that the Democrats get away with breaking all of the rules that they try to hold Republicans to. Specifically when it comes to this case here, as we're investigating the president's campaign and things that he is alleged to have done, we look back at the last time a president was pursued on behavior that was considered politically unacceptable. I think it's safe to say that it's politically unacceptable to violate campaign finance laws. These are the law of the land, obviously. That's why they're called laws. And so it's appropriate for candidates to abide by those laws. If the law says that the president should pay a fine for breaking those laws, then, so be it. Now, I don't think that it would be fair to use these laws to attack the president in such a way as some other Republican supporters have been attacked using this law. But I wouldn't be surprised if that was in the cards for the president someday. But, we look at the same standard when measuring Democrats and Democrat presidents against the same standard. We don't see the same level of outrage or caring that the Democrats exhibit whenever a Republican is under fire for breaking these rules. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating because why should we follow the rules if our opponents are not going to follow the rules? more than that, why should we follow the rules if our opponents are not going to follow the rules and get away with not following the rules? It would be one thing if the Democrats were not abiding by the rules and getting punished every time they broke the rules. It's like it's analogous to a basketball game. You go to a basketball game and the referees are different for every game, and sometimes referees even enforce rules differently within the same game. But typically, when you go to a basketball game, the most violent team wins, and basketball is supposed to be a non-contact sport. So you have some people that practice clean, mechanical basketball, and they're going to play the game of basketball as it was designed to be played. But then you have some teams that play push the envelope basketball, and they're going to play the game as violently as the referees are going to allow them to play. And so that is kind of the case, that matchup between a team that is going to play the game as cleanly as they possibly can and a team that's going to play the game as violently as the officials will allow them to play is kind of the clash that we're seeing on the Republican in the political arena. We had Republicans have always sought to nominate clean, morally upstanding gentlemen for the presidency. I would say gentlemen and ladies, but we just haven't nominated a lady yet. The Democrats, on the other hand, castigate every single Republican candidate as an evil person, no matter what. When Obama was running for the presidency, when Al Gore was running for the presidency, when John Kerry was running for the presidency, when Bill Clinton was running the first time around, people weren't lining up to say on the Republican side that Democrat is an evil person and is a bad person, is unfit for the presidency. We've said it would be bad. It would be worse for the country if that person was president than the Republican. But correct me if I'm wrong. Republicans don't call Democrat presidential candidates evil, but Democrats call Republican presidential candidates evil 24/7, nonstop, all the time. So go even farther back than George Bush. Ronald Reagan was the most evil man that the Republicans had ever nominated to be the president. And then George H.W. Bush was the most evil man that the Republicans had ever nominated to be president. And then George W. Bush was the most evil man that Republicans had ever nominated to become president. If this is getting redundant, that's the point of saying the full phrase over and over again. Same with John McCain. Same with why can't I remember? Same with Mitt Romney. And then Donald Trump comes along, and Republicans say, you know what? It doesn't matter who we nominate. We could nominate Jeb Bush, and they're going to say that he's an evil person. So why not we just start off with the most evil person of this field and send them off into battle, because at least this person is going to battle with the Democrats. And I think that was that was a reason. It's not the only reason, but it was a reason, certainly, I think, that Trump was nominated to be the representative of the Republicans, because he wasn't the most clean candidate. He wasn't even the most conservative candidate. He wasn't even the most Republican candidate. But he was not going to take it lying down when somebody said that he is something that he doesn't think that he is. He's going to push back, and he's going to push back furiously. So now Trump is the worst candidate that the Republicans have ever nominated for president. He's the worst Republican human being on the face of the earth. And that reminds me of something Ben Shapiro was on Fox News to talk about today. We might be getting... I might just let the video run. If this is a video, might just let it run. If it's just words, we'll just read the
Oklahoma has found new leadership in Attorney General Mike Hunter.
So I'm just going to read it here. Conservative commentator Ben Shapiro slammed disgusting attacks on Vice President Mike Pence's devout Christian faith during an appearance on Fox News. The new book, The Shadow President: The Truth About Mike Pence, authors Michael D'Antonio and Peter Eisner argue that Pence is the most successful Christian supremacist in American history. New York Times columnist Mark Bruni wrote a flattering preview of the book titled Mike Pence Holy Terror. There are problems with impeaching. Where did that go? There are problems with impeaching Donald Trump. A big one is the holy terror waiting in the wings, Bruni wrote. That would be Mike Pence, who mirrors the boss more than you realize. He's also self-infatuated, also a bigot, also a liar, also cruel. Now, if you thought Mitt Romney was clean cut and a upstanding, moral, just all around good guy, in my personal opinion, and my opinion is a little biased because I'm not a Mormon, but in my opinion, Mike Pence stands above Mitt Romney. And if they're going to say this about Mike Pence and they're going to say similar things about Mitt Romney, who are they not going to call evil? Who are they not going to call a bigot and a liar and cruel? Who are they not going to call terrible, horrible, slanderous names if they're calling Mike Pence and Mitt Romney these things? And so in 2016, the Republicans just said, throw the moral rules out the window. We're not going to play by the rules that the Democrats want us to play by. And that's where the frustration is starting to break down some of the platforms that Republicans used to stand on. We used to stand on, we're going to be the guys that play by the rules. And now we're starting to throw that at the window. And I think, Ben Shapiro in his show today that he publishes to YouTube and the Daily Wire made a point that it's not good for the country to have the side that is playing the most closely to the rules throw those rules out the window. And I agree, which is where the frustration comes in, because we've had the most success we've had more success than we've had in the past 10 years, nearly living memory. Living memory is only about 20 or 30 years. Nobody significant who Ronald Reagan is not in living memory, at least not for me anyway. For many people he is, but for a lot of people he is no longer in living memory. Bill Clinton is starting to fade out of living memory. And there are millions of Americans living today who will be voting in 2020, and the first president that they can remember is Barack Obama. So with the most success that we've had in living memory is when we throw the rules out the window and play the game that the Democrats are playing. And it's definitely going to leave the country worse off. I definitely agree with Ben Shapiro that it will leave the country worse off. But there's a column that was published in Patriot Post. It's not this one, it's another one that points out, hey, Donald Trump has been a fantastic president. So, and we talked about one of those columns in Wednesday's video that sometimes bad men are fantastic presidents. Sometimes good men, like I believe, and again, he's not in my living memory, but I believe that Ronald Reagan was a good, upstanding man, and he was a fantastic president. But sometimes, but good men just don't win the presidency anymore, at least not like they used to. It's not considered enough of a benefit, enough of a draw from the coveted center to be a good man, like John McCain was, like George H.W. Bush, I'm sure, was not as bad of a guy as Bill Clinton, like John McCain, like Mitt Romney were. This column that I have pulled up from the Patriot Post that I also want to read speaks to another element of Republican voter political frustration. The Senate rejected Rand Paul's amendment defunding Planned Parenthood in the latest appropriations bill. On Thursday, the Senate passed the latest appropriations bill, which included continued funding for the abortion bill dubiously named Planned Parenthood. That was after the Senate voted against adding an amendment presented by Senator Rand Paul that would have ended the practice of taxpayer funding of Planned Parenthood. Following Paul's rebuke, Senate leadership relented and put his amendment up for a vote, which went down 45 to 58 as Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski, imagine my shock, sided with Democrats. Apparently seeing the writing on the wall, 4 Republicans and 3 Democrats did not vote. This is unacceptable, in my opinion. Getting off of the the discussion about Republican political frustration, senators not voting ought to be unacceptable. Especially if you're present at the Senate chambers, you have to pass a vote. A not vote is a no vote. In my book, at least, that's the way that it should be. So really, 6 Republicans voted no against Rand Paul's amendment. I think the only reason to not vote is so that your opponents can't accuse you of voting or not voting for something that they think that voters want you to vote on. This is another element of Republican political frustration because we're told if we put Republicans in office, they're going to do these things that we want done. And then we put Republicans in office, and then they don't do the things that we want done. I don't know how Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski remain in the Senate being as liberal as they are. I kind of understand Susan Collins because she's from Maine. I don't understand Lisa Murkowski. She's from Alaska. How does Alaska continue to elect Lisa Murkowski to the Senate? It can only be because there's nobody else to vote in, and we're told that we have to put in Republicans. And then we do, and they don't do the things that we want done. So it amounts to a lot of frustration. And I guess this video is just as much me venting my frustration as a discussion on voter frustration in general, because I feel the frustration that Ben Shapiro was talking about in his video today. It's why I decided to talk about this with you here. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If it is not your thing, maybe leave a dislike, or just let me know what your thoughts are down below. If you want to see more videos like this one, or if you want to see more videos different, I don't always do rants like this, hit subscribe and hit the bell for notifications so that you don't miss future videos. Thank you so much for watching. Come back next time, which will be Monday. Go and enjoy your weekend. Until then, good night, have a great weekend, and God bless.